So, people, Australia had their vote, right? They had their vote for Indigenous rights and a voice in Parliament, and it resoundingly fell flat. Right, this took place on the 14th, no, the 13th of October, I believe. And yeah, it's not good, right? We spoke about what this was looking like in episode 185, right? A few weeks back. And then it seemed like a mess, right? It seemed like it was a mess. And I think the way everything was looking, it wasn't going to go through, and it didn't go through. Didn't go through. All 6 states voted no. Voted no, right? And the whole idea was to change the constitution, which hadn't been changed since 1977. So, looking to change the constitution to give the First Nations people rights, right, to be recognized in the document, which they're not at present, which is kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy when you only just look at the whole situation, right? Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders make up 3.8% of the nation, right? Which contains 26 million people. But they've inhabited Australia for 65,000 years. So a long ass time before, you know what I mean? England shipped its miscreants across the ocean. But although they've been there from, day dot, well, not day dot, but they've been there the longest, they're not recognized, right? They're not recognized in the Constitution. There has been just centuries of abuse, and the crazy thing about it is it's so more recent. Right now, you can say there's definitely been abuse to other, minorities. So, like slavery, you've had the oh my god, my mind is completely just shut down. You had like just all the genocides that have happened over time against people, the Jewish people, the Muslims in Iraq, and in Kenya, and just all these different things. Like, but I think with Australia, they were taking children away from Aboriginal families in the 80s. Right? In the fucking 80s, which is insane. It's insane. So I think this was a moment for, Australia to kind of look at their past and go, right, we need to make some changes. We need to address some things. Now, I do feel the whole situation was handled appallingly, right? And set up in a ridiculous way. Because to piggyback both things in the same, right? To go, right, let's recognize these people in the Constitution, but then let's give them a voice for Parliament, right? And I think you could have had 2 separate votes. And I think possibly the recognition may have gone through, because I think the big sticking thing for a lot of people is probably the voice in Parliament, right? There's people be like, oh, they make up less than 4% of the nation. Why should they get a voice in Parliament? But I think the big thing from what I have been able to ascertain, right? The whole voice, it's not on every single thing that passes through Parliament. It would only be on situations that impact them, right? So that's not every single thing, but I think people probably assumed that it's every single thing, right? Which, obviously the No campaign was able to, pick up on and run with and just, you know, use as a vehicle to be like, we don't need this, you know? So I think it was just parceled incorrectly. Also, right now, this is the crazy thing, right? It's being hailed as like a whole heap of disinformation, and the fact that we've not seen the like since the 2016 or Brexit, right? The 2016 US election or Brexit, right? And where I think this just was just very poorly handled by Albanese and his peoples was, you knew it was going to come, right? You knew that there would be a no campaign. You knew that there was going to be people pushing for it to the yes, not to go through, that lies and craziness would be put out there, right? You know that is going to happen, right? You have to do a SWOT analysis with most things. So the fact that they didn't see that as a threat is insane. Because how do you handle disinformation? Lies. You put out the truth, right? You have long form discussions to address all the negative points that you think would be raised and concerns, right? You look at all of those things and you address them point by point and let people know what the vision is. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. So it it's kind of baffling how they feel that this, you know, didn't go the way it was gonna go. Right? It's very weird. It's very weird. And it just now creates a situation where the fuck do you go from here? Where do you, because I didn't like, the no party were just like, it's divisive and it's a problem and Australia doesn't need this. But I haven't seen anything where they're like, listen, we understand that the Aboriginals and the Torres Strait Islanders have been mistreated and we should do more. Right. And this is what we think should happen. Like, I've not seen that. Maybe someone has said that. I haven't seen it. So without them saying that, all it kind of looks like is that these people are not welcome. Right. So if you are of Aboriginal descent, Tories, Islander descent, if you're one of those communities, I mean, it must fucking suck being there, right? Because knowing that people don't want you, right? And listen, I know it's that shit's like walking down the street and having people to telling you to go back to your own country, right? You're not wanted. Fuck off. All the names under the sun. It's not a good feeling, right? But having a national vote go the way that you are not wanted, right? The big stamp of go away, essentially. That's not a good look. It's not a good fucking look, right? The crazy thing, oh, I mean, there's so many, right? But one crazy thing was Albanese was just like in the lead up to the vote, he was just like, think of, we should use this as a statement to the world, right? Just think what it might look like to the rest of the world if we said, and it's just like, no, what the fuck are you doing? It's not oh, this might make us look bad to oh, fuck the rest of the world, right? You shouldn't do these sort of things for optics, right? Because that tells me you're doing them for the completely wrong reason. It's not for the optics, people. It's doing the right thing. Every person in a country should have a voice. You know what I mean? That's a big thing here. Everyone should have a voice. Everyone should have the ability to implement change, right? The ability to go and be heard. But the way this is, it's not the case, right? And that's just fucking appalling. That's appalling in any day and age, right? You can be like, right, in today's society, that shouldn't be a thing. It should never have been a thing. It should never have been a thing. But that's where we are right now, right? And yeah, it's hard to think where you go, right? And this is basically, right? This is, it shows all the issues with racism, right? And unconscious bias. Because did anyone really expect a predominantly white nation to go, you know what? Yeah, let's give these people rights. You know, it's a scratch your head moment. And it's just, man. I have no words, right? I have no words. These motherfucking communities put themselves out there, right? Put themselves out there and just got stomped on. Right? With no avenue for okay, let's go here now. Right? Let's do this. It is bad times, right? It's bad fucking times. And I think, the problem with all of this is, right? So the No Party, Peter Dutton, will use this as a way to seize power, right? And to be honest, Albanese, he fucked up in such a way that you just feel you're mad incompetent, right? But him not being in power, what does that then look like, right? For someone that led the no vote, right? Who obviously, and led a vote, didn't even put up a contingency, right? So he doesn't really want the Aborigines and the Torres Strait Islanders to have a voice. So with him in power, what does that look like? What does that mean for those communities? I mean, it doesn't look good. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look fucking good. So I feel everyone needs to look at this and think to themselves, right? This is what it looks like when everything goes wrong. Right? This is what it looks like when you just disregard communities. Do you want your country to be like that? Do you want that to be a legacy of where you live? You know what I mean? Because people, I for hell do not, right? And if I lived in Australia, I'd be looking to leave. I'd be looking to fucking leave because that is a shit show.